Hey everybody, it's Denny.
And this is James from TeaDB, and today we are filming episode 44. So we are reviewing a Hong Pao from Life in a Teacup. And they are a state-based vendor, I think in Massachusetts or something like that, if I read my shipping label correctly.
Very cool. Any reason why we're going to use Yixing in this?
Well, Yixing is, I like to use Yixing for Yancha, which are Wuyi Oolong, such as this one, as well as Pu'er. So those are probably my two preferred genres of tea for Yixing. So, yeah, we're going to get out the old guy, and this guy is perfect for Wuyi because, as you see, it's kind of got like a wider base, and so Wuyi tea, it just is like kind of long and stringy, so it's good to have that kind of like bottom wider base for it. So it's actually a perfect sort of teapot for Wuyi Oolong.
Awesome. Other things to keep in mind too with heavily roasted teas like roasted oolongs are going to do very well with a lot of heat. So
Yep.
One more reason.
Yep. Heat retainment. Yep. Absolutely.
Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's do it. All right. So we are using just off the boil water here. We're gonna heat this all up. And that kind of also can serve the same purpose of just getting everything real hot.
Right.
Heating up your teaware and stuff like that is much less important if you're brewing up a green tea than it is a pu'er or a roasted oolong.
You know, speaking of green teas and teas that don't do well in lots of heat, we haven't done a white tea
Ever?
It's true. And I mean, I never drink.
I don't drink white teas either.
Maybe we should do some research. Anyone who's out there and listening, if you do have some premium select white teas you want to send our way, feel free to do so. We always enjoy tasting good teas and talking about them on the show. So
yeah. Or if any of you viewers out there that might not be vendors have any recommendations, would love to hear from you.
Absolutely. So James is just going to basically fill up this Yixing teapot pretty full.
Yeah.
And
go big or go home.
Yeah, especially with these sort of twisted oolongs, they perform quite well with a lot of leaf. And
Yeah, and one of the actual methods that I've heard about, and I've used it maybe once or twice, it's super strong, is like where you literally fill this guy up, mash the leaves up with scissors and stuff, and fill it up some more.
Oh my gosh.
And of course you're giving it flash brews. Anything more than that would be...
I would be surprised if you could even get it.
Yeah. So we are using a lot of tea.
Oh my gosh.
We're just going to use it all.
And all the little
crusts. So we might be getting, because of this, we might get a little bit of a bitter brew, but personally, I like that bitterness when it comes to Wuyi tea. So Denny is just going to have to live with it.
So,
sorry, man.
So this is the kind of the ends of a little select group of select amount of tea here, and as I'm sure many of us know, at the very sort of tail end of your tea pouch or whatever it is that you have your tea in, look at that color already, you're going to have a lot of sort of fine particulate and sediment and so forth, and that's going to influence the rate of brew, the taste, all that different stuff. So be conscious of that. Some of the finest pu'ers will actually, you could literally just drink the tea dust, and people will because they're so wildly expensive if they're old enough. So, So, like James said, we're just doing a really, really fast brew here, one quick rinse, and then going straight into the brew. And I mean, if you take a look at the color of the liquid here, it's quite
like peachy red.
Yeah, already very saturated, and the leaves have been under hot water for less than 10 seconds total here.
Yep. And you will notice that this Yixing also pours very fast, which is another essential if you're going to be doing this method, because there's almost no point. Like if your Yixing takes 20 seconds to pour, you're going to be brewing the tea no matter what.
Right.
So you really need the fast pour if you're going to be doing this kind of like death Kung Fu style.
Cool. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's nice. It's not bitter at all, actually. It has that wonderful roasted oolong taste. High quality, nice viscosity to the liquid. Yeah, it's really quite nice.
Yeah. And on the package, this tea was literally labeled as medium roast Hong Pao.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm getting a lot of the kind of fruity notes out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Peachy apricot a little bit.
Yeah. More, less chocolatey and sometimes a roast you can get kind of those chocolatey, caramely, vanilla-y flavors, cacao notes and stuff. And
Yeah.
I agree. I'm getting more fruit, more mineral-y than
Yep. Sure.
mineral notes too. Quite nice.
Yep.
And what about James? Do you want to speak about Big Red Robe tea in general?
Yeah, so it's one of the most famous, I think it is actually the original Chinese oolong in some sense. And there's a lot of stories associated with all of the Wuyi oolong teas, specifically Big Red Robe. To go into just a minor amount of these stories that are debatably true or not, basically the Emperor of China was extremely sick, and he was traveling through the Wuyi Mountains where Da Hong Pao and the other 4 famous bushes are grown, and a tea farmer or someone like that served him this tea, which basically made him better. And so the tea, of course, brews up red, but the king, or the emperor rather, since this is China, put his red robe over the bush to thank it.
Cool.
Yep.
Big Red Robe is often sold fraudulently.
Yep.
So people will demand high prices for tea that's not this stuff. Cheers.
And the traditional blend for that, and it is very common to find Big Red Robe, and it is more common to find fake Big Red Robe than it is to find actual Big Red Robe, is like a Rogue Wei, Shui Xian, which are other Wuyi oolongs that are much cheaper, so they'll tend to blend those together to create kind of what's known as Big Red Robe.
The mineraliness of this is actually surprising and quite nice. It tastes salty, to me at least, and maybe I'm just in a strange tea tasting zone or something, but I'm getting some salt from this, and it's
I get
nice.
you actually. Yeah, it's kind of got, that's a good call. That's not a taste I commonly associate with tea.
Mm-hmm.
You can see even on the third brew, Wuyi oolongs, especially stuff that's not aged, is known for kind of dying pretty fast. It's still brewing up a pretty red, very strong liqueur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is going to last, in terms of brewing, it's going to last a little less long than your rolled oolongs, which will not be quite as strong in the beginning. So in some sense, it's not, you're getting kind of a similar amount of potent, full-flavored tea, usually. Sometimes you can have an amazing cup of tea off of the first steeping of a rolled oolong, but for something like this, it kind of is a
more front-loaded.
Short to get going, and it's
and I like the roast on this. You can definitely taste kind of the fire in it, but it's not overpowering at all, which is often the danger with some of these roasted oolongs. Yeah,
absolutely. This is quite nice. Very smooth, I think, is one of the things that I'm noticing about this. And
definitely. Especially considering the amount of leaf we're using.
Yeah.
Like, it could be very easy to get bitter. And we are also using a fair amount of just like small particles. So.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I'm impressed overall in that regard. And one other thing to comment on is the lasting taste. I'm still tasting that last sip I just had.
It's got a delicious aftertaste.
Yeah,
honestly.
This is really nice. How would you find yourself drinking this, James? What do you, under what circumstance and context?
For me, Wuyi oolongs, I enjoy them quite a bit. They would be kind of I guess an afternoon tea for me. Or I could drink this pretty closely after a meal too. I would probably drink something cheaper the closer I drank it to the meal. Just because I wouldn't be able to fully taste it. But it's got a bold enough flavor that you could drink this with after food or something like that.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it would pair well with creamy foods really well, actually.
I agree. Yeah.
So there's a sweetness to this that I think would be uncommon for most people who have not really had the experience having roasted oolongs before. So I think it would actually be a pretty good tea to something kind of like a Wuyi Oolong.
Yeah.
Would be a good intro tea to enjoy with some friends who are just new to tea as well.
Yeah, which is very cool because usually to bring out sweetness in tea, what you do is you brew it at a lower temperature.
Right.
And that's absolutely not what we're doing here. We amped up the amount of leaf, we amped up the heat retainment, and it's still giving off that nice huigan, or that sweet aftertaste, which is really, really quite delicious.
And like no bitterness. I'm floored actually. Yeah, quite nice. How many more steepings do you think would this?
Yeah, so I think it'll probably, like, if you've noticed, I think each steeping has gotten progressively just a little notch less strong. Mm-hmm. So I like to reboil water a lot for Wuyis, just to keep it real hot. But I will typically add like 10 seconds if I'm still enjoying the tea. Right around this point, I think this could probably go one more flash brew, and then 10 seconds, and another 10 seconds, and another 10 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you can tell, I mean, it's a fair amount of leaf volume, but the weight, because it's so voluminous itself, is still going to be roughly the same amount as your, normal teas, normal oolongs, roasted oolongs. Yeah, it's really lovely. So, strongly encourage people to check this out.
Yep.
And if they wanted to learn more about tea, James, what would they do?
You guys should check out TeaDB.org, as well as subscribe, whichever way that subscribe button is on our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. We're releasing lots of great YouTube videos and that stuff like that. And we've also started to release a fair amount of content specifically focused on Yancha, or Wuyi Oolongs. So please check us out.
Cool. Yeah. And thanks. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys.
Cheers.